All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Kristian Buddy Show, and I am glad you're here. I am joined with an awesome guest, Yana Short, and the reason I got you on the show, and I'm going to give you a bit of context, bit of a shout out. You own a podcast, Best Holistic, Oh My Health, There's Hope, and a magazine, Best Holistic Life. How are you feeling today, Yana? Hope you're feeling.
I feel amazing, and I'm super excited to be here.
Cool. That's awesome. And I guess mainly the reason I got you on the podcast was for a few reasons. I wanted to maybe learn a little bit from your podcast success. I'm hosting a podcast at the moment, so it'd be nice to learn a bit of that. And also maybe going to the holistic side. And okay, so how long have you been running the podcast for?
2 years in August.
2 years in August. And how are you marketing it, and how's it been at the moment?
So I don't market it. It kind of grew organically, but I think we are up to 200,000 downloads, and we get 7,000 to 8,000 downloads on each episode. But it's not me. It's the incredible guests coming on, sharing their very personal and powerful stories of how they got where they're at.
That's amazing. And I'd just like to give a shout out to my own podcast as well. This is the Kristian Buddy Show, and thank you for listening. But I guess what got you into the podcast scene?
So I wrote a book called Oh My Health, There's Hope, and it became a bestseller. And the truth of the matter is, when I was asked to write this book, it was hard. I'd never written a book before, and it was a lot of work. And at the end of the day, I really could not complete a whole book. So I realized I had come in contact with some pretty amazing people with very powerful stories. And I collaborated with them in the book, and the book literally became a bestseller in under a week and an international bestseller. And so I didn't want to stop telling the stories. So I created the podcast when the book was released so that I could keep sharing stories and changing the outcome of the way people are living and what they think is possible.
Wow. Okay. There's a lot to unpack in that. So your book, that's pretty fantastic. What was the main premise of your book?
I started with just sharing my story. I wanted to share my story of hope and how I literally almost died and was given no hope for living or surviving. And I came home and I had a brand new grandson. He was 9 weeks old. He was born right before I went in the hospital. And then on my deathbed, I'm seeing him. He's 9 weeks old. And it occurred to me at that moment that he would not have a memory of me. How will he remember anything about me? Like simple things like what it smelled like. Like I still can remember the smell of my grandmother and the things she cooked in her house, right? And the way she laughed. And I was desperate to make a memory with him. And I got online from my deathbed and I typed in those words, desperate for health answers, holistic options. And the whole world opened up to me. It wasn't just like neighboring towns. It was the entire world that I was able to extend my reach across and connect with geniuses in those fields. And here I am. And I tell people all the time, it's been 9 years. I did not cure myself. Nothing has changed in my diagnosis except for the fact that I am now thriving in it. Whether I'm here another 20, 30, 40 years. I just turned 60, so that would be awesome. Whether I'm here another 20, 30, 40 years or I'm here another 2 minutes, it doesn't matter because all that matters to me right now is the moment I'm in.
Yeah, I think you're going to live to 120. I think I'm going to give that I'm going to give that a yeah, buddy, because I think that deserves a yeah, buddy. That is an inspirational story, and I think that most people can learn a lot from that. And this is going to sound a little bit creepy, a little bit weird, but it's like I feel like you remind me of my mother. It's like I don't know. That's just coming through my mind right now, and I thought I'd just express that. I thought I'd share that, and yeah, I think it's the love for the family is so strong, is so powerful, and that's what really what's that saying? It's joining the sea and joining the river. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's so powerful, the love for your family. And you've obviously written a book out of it. You know, you've inspired millions, and you've got your podcast, and people love to listen to you. So you're obviously doing something right. You obviously hit the note somewhere along those lines. Now, let's reverse the script, and I want to take you back to your deathbed. What was the cause of you being in this deathbed?
So it wasn't like I had cancer. I was diagnosed with some serious illness. I had something called a hiatal hernia, which, by the way, most of America has. It's super common. It's a hernia in your esophagus. The only problem is mine twisted. And when it twists, it can't get proper blood flow. And so it will, what they call dehisce, open up, and all the toxins that are ingested will go into your body cavity and cause you to get a super bad infection. And usually it becomes fatal. So I went in to have surgery for this. And they accidentally damaged what is called your vagus nerve. The vagus nerve runs down your throat, through your esophagus. It's like the brain, what connects the brain to your digestive tract. But mine was paralyzed. So after the surgery, no one told me anything happened. I went home healing. And with a few months later, I'm like, food, it feels like it's poisoning me. I feel so sick when I eat. Then I started looking pregnant, and people would come up and say, congratulations on the baby. And I would be, well, thank you. I'm 50, so thank you so much, but I'm not pregnant. And it wasn't until I was in so much pain that I ended up in the emergency room, and they did a CAT scan and found a mass in my body. And it was because nothing could exit my stomach. And we have incredible bodies. I will tell you, your stomach will just keep expanding what you're putting in it and getting bigger and bigger. And so the cure was to remove my stomach. And so they went to remove my stomach, and everything went wrong. The surgery dehisced. So the first thing I was trying to avoid actually ended up happening. So I became septic. I got pancreatitis. Like, I was definitely going downhill. And then they gave me, to feed me, I was fed through a tube, something called TPN. And it's something synthetic. It's amazing because it keeps people in comas alive, right? It's an amazing thing. But it was also synthetic, and my body was like, oh, hell no, that is not for us. And so my organs started shutting down. There was no way for me to get anything to nourish my body inside of me. And so I was declining. My hair was falling out. My nails started coming out of the nail beds. And after 6 weeks in the ICU, the doctors came to me with that very grim look and said, we're sorry, but there's nothing more we can do. We can make you comfortable here, or we can send you home and make you as comfortable as possible, but everything is shutting down. And I just wanted to go home. I was not sick. I went in for a little teeny surgery. I just wanted them to stop touching me and throwing all those poisons in me, and I came home. Fortunately, my husband is a doctor. My daughters were in medical school, so they knew something about medicine, and I thought maybe they can help. Well, I found out that in medical school, they only get a semester of nutrition. That's it. And our whole bodies and the way they're fueled are through the foods we eat. Like, foods are medicine. When you're healthy, they keep you well. And they are only given a semester. So I went online to try to find answers. And here's why. That beautiful grandson, creating a moment, a memory in that moment, which is what led me to become a mindset coach. If people who know me know I'm an interior designer. It's what I went to school for. It's what I've done all my life. I was very successful here in Los Angeles as an interior designer. But when you're sick that long, you have to give your clients up, right? Like, I'm dying. I'm not going to be seeing clients. When I got well, I couldn't go back and say, well, I feel better. I'd love to have all my clients back. I literally wanted to know what changed. What changed in my diagnosis? I still had no stomach. I still had to find a way to eat and nourish my body. And what changed? Why am I surviving? And I realized the power of our mind. Like, it was all
absolutely. I mean, the last time I checked, I had a stomach. I mean, I like to eat a little bit of chocolate ice cream, and sometimes, my stomach. I mean, I don't feel that the digestion in the morning isn't the best, but nothing to your extent, nothing to that amazing, almost nightmarish story that you've just revealed with the audience, which is quite a it's almost the bedrock of your book that you've released. And I guess touching back into the vagus nerve, because I know you kind of passed that a little bit before, but I'm kind of bringing that back up again, the vagus nerve. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is because I had a guest recently who was speaking about the vagus nerve, and he was speaking about 1 breath, 1 minute. And it's like connecting to the breath is so powerful. And he demonstrated just by just something simple as that, we can calm the whole mind down. And I think I'm making a mess of this. I'm not really a doctor, so I'm just kind of making this up as I go. But yeah, back to the vagus nerve. He was saying that it connects. Maybe you know more on this, but it connects your brain and your gut, and it's the biggest nerve in the body.
It is. And when people don't realize that your gut is really a brain, it literally is sending signals. It's like your second brain. And it is very powerful, sending signals of where the nutrients go and how to process them and how everything works. So when you sever that nerve, it's like not walking, right? My stomach would not do anything. They call it gastroparesis. A lot of diabetics will get it, and theirs can be reversed. But I got gastroparesis from, during a surgery, which happens. It is totally not the surgeon's fault. I know there's a risk in every surgery.
Sorry, so the surgeon accidentally, he made a mistake, did he? Is that what you're saying? Or what?
It's not so much that he made a mistake, but he got too close to the vagus nerve and severed it. So it just did not work anymore. It's like having a spinal cord injury. So the brain can't speak to the arms and the limbs, right, and tell them what to do. So it was the same thing with the stomach. It severs that nerve, so it just cannot communicate to it anymore. So when we eat, our stomach starts contracting, and it makes those body acids that help produce, and push that through, and it does nothing. It just sat there doing nothing.
So did you, like what happened to that doctor? I mean, is he still practicing? Or, I mean, I'm sure that he's been sent out, what?
Practicing. My doctor was literally the head surgeon there. Like, he ran the whole surgical department. It totally was not his fault. I want everyone to understand that when you go in for surgery, things happen. There is a risk to that. This was my second surgery in that area. So there was pre-existing scar tissue. And so it wasn't, things happen. I understand that assumption of risk. I am married to a doctor, like I said. My family, my 2 daughters are now DNMs. And I understand there's an assumption of risk on my part, and those things happen. Had I dwelled and it's your fault, you did this to me, I promise you I would not be sitting here today, thriving the way I am. All I did was focus on, how do I get a memory, right? How do I create that one memory with my grandson, who's now 9? How do I create that one memory with him so that he'll have some laughter of me and some thought of what we did together? So yeah, I'm not focusing on anything that might have negatively took me there. And at the end of the day, look where it brought me. It brought me to my purpose. This is my purpose in life. I know that. Had I missed that part of the journey, I don't know where I would be.
Powerful. That is a powerful story. Absolutely. And I thought we were going to switch gears for the moment. We're going to play rapid fire questions. So the aim of this is just a little game we play on the podcast. And the aim of the game is I'm going to shoot out some questions. They're a bit crazy, a little bit weird, but I'm curious to get your response. So are you ready to play? Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Avocado on pizza?
Yes.
All right. So that's a yes to pineapple on pizza?
Yes, please.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
Okay. What's the craziest thing in your fridge?
A bird.
Okay. Do you keep birds in your fridge, or is that just a normal occurrence, or what's the story behind that?
I have a bird in my freezer.
Okay, so that's for lunch or dinner, I'm guessing, or sorry?
It's not edible. It's just for storage.
Right. Okay. That's
Long story.
long story. All right. Well, okay. No worries. We might get to that a bit later then. Okay, that's fine. And now the final question. All right, this one's a little bit more of a philosophical question. So, would you rather more time or more money?
More time.
And okay, what's the reason behind that? Why did you say more time for?
Well, if I have all the money in the world and I have no time, what good is it?
Good answer. All right, thanks for playing rapid fire questions. All right. So that was a bit of a random segue, and at the Christian Buddy Show, there's a lot of random segues and a lot of random things going on at the same time. So, uh, maybe we can transition back to the conversation what we were having before. So we were talking about you were writing your book and maybe kind of delving back into the podcast. What's been the biggest? What have you learnt in the podcast, doing this podcast?
I have learned that your stories are powerful. I would even say your stories are your superpower. They were given to us for a reason. And when we're brave enough to share our most vulnerable, scariest moments with others, we open that door of healing for them, and we absolutely give them hope. And it really does create a ripple effect around the world. And so I absolutely will keep sharing stories till the day I die, because even my story may not resonate with a lot of people, but other people's do. Like they're like, I'm going through that too. And they made it through, and look at, not only did they make it through, but they're thriving in what they're doing now. And so I absolutely love sharing stories.
What's your favorite story? It's a very open question, but I mean, with your guests, do you have any kind of on the top of your head? You've got any crazy stories? Someone's fallen down an escalator, or someone's tripped over, or some crazy story?
I don't really have a lot of crazy stories, but I do have a favorite story. So I had an NFL football player reach out to me and ask to be a guest on the show. And so I told him, his name is Brett Lockett. And I think he played for the Patriots. And I said, well, we share stories of hope. Like, I'm thinking, what is a football player? What kind of hope does he have, right? Like, I'm in the holistic wellness field, and we share stories of hope. He's like, yeah, I got one. I said, okay. And he came on the show and blew me away. I think it was probably the only show that I almost cried in. I wanted to hug him. I had all these motherly like instincts to protect him. But he talked about his struggle and how he never gave up. And his message on the show was, don't ever, ever let anybody else write your story for you, because they told him he was finished before he ever started because of an injury. And yet he kept pushing, and he showed up doing what he knew he could do better than anyone else. And he was seen because of that. And he like went on, like, I think the first group he got put with the Browns, and he played like two games, and they got rid of him and traded him somewhere else. But that's when he went to the Patriots, and he started to shine. Like, that's where he wanted to be anyway. And he shined, and his story of hope was so powerful. So there are some pretty incredible stories of hope that come on that totally blow me away.
Wow, that's an inspiration. Yeah, never give up. Yeah, absolutely. And okay, I'm kind of running out of things to say here at the moment, but I'll find something to say. It's something will pop up. So what is your diet at the moment? I know that, coming out of an intensive surgery, you need to be mindful of what you eat, of what you're eating. Do you mind running us through that? What's
Yeah, I eat whatever I want. So let me just tell you, mostly
pizza, pasta?
Mostly it's drinks, right? Mostly I'll do protein smoothies, because that's what my body absorbs. It absorbs liquids a lot better than any food that I put into it. But if I want a piece of pizza, I'll eat a piece of pizza. If I want a steak, I'll eat a steak. I eat what I want. Here's the thing, with that comes, I pay a price. Like, I get a lot of pain in my stomach. I usually will throw up 4 or 5 times a day, on a regular day, 4 or 5 times, no matter what. But I do a lot of proteins, a lot of supplements that are liquid to help support my body, but I eat whatever I want. It's a challenge for sure.
Meditation?
100% yes. Totally love. By the way, it was very hard for me. So people who meditate, on my hands off to you. Like, you are amazing, because I don't have one of those quiet brains. And when I first started meditating, I was that person who was like, how much longer? Is this almost over? I have a scratch on my nose. Am I supposed to move? Like, this is all the junk that went on in my head. guided meditations really helped me because somebody else was talking and it let me focus in on them and experience the journey. So for those of you who struggle with meditating, you might try a quick guided meditation, and that really helped me get focused and in tune with my body and the purpose of that meditation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big proponent of meditation, trying to do it as my daily routine, everyone's into these daily routines, these evening routines, afternoon routines. So I'm trying to fit it in there somewhere. And what
Kristian,
about your,
one more thing
sorry?
about, I want to say one more thing about meditation.
Sure,
Since
go for it. Go for it.
For those of you who don't meditate, or you think it's woo-woo-y, I'm going to tell you, it's kind of like the power of prayer, right? If I pray for someone miles away, I believe in that healing, right? It's mentally, I put that vibration out into the world. Whatever we're meditating on, and there's scientific proof behind this with the monks who are meditating in India or up in the mountains, like they will move their little meditation pods, let's call it, to certain areas. And they notice that as they're meditating for this area, they see that vibration of healing go out. So when you're meditating, it's so great for us internally, but that vibration that you put out in the world really does create a powerful change.
Amen to that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, okay, so for those people that maybe have like they like to call it the monkey brain, or a very like hyper aggressive brain that keeps going, like what are some ways that you've learned how to meditate? Because some people are stuck in that mindset. Oh, my brain is going too fast. How can I? So, is there any advice you can give to the people listening?
So yeah, that is totally my brain. I have a monkey brain. By the way, if you have a monkey brain, you're probably a genius. Your brain is constantly going, right? And so a couple of things. The guided meditations are great because someone's giving you instruction, right? And so you're listening to the instruction. And monkey brain people usually are really good at following, like they want those guidelines and they want to move. It gives them direction, like they know what to do next. The other thing is there's something you could do while you're meditating, which is really helpful if I don't have guided meditation. And it's, if you close your eyes for just a couple minutes and start focusing on colors that pop up, you're going to not only get this beautiful show, but it starts really pulling you inside, and they're there. And the first time I did it, I was like, oh wait, yeah, there's a light. And you can see this movement of light inside. I don't know if it's neurons firing. I don't know where it comes from, just that it's there. And all of a sudden it literally takes you inside and the colors get brighter. You've got to experience it. It's amazing. And I would have said, yeah, whatever. But it's a real thing.
Yeah, it sounds like a psychedelic experience, definitely. And I mean, look, speaking of psychedelic experiences, we're a little bit off the edge here at the Christian Buddy Show. So can we go down that pathway of conversation? Can I ask you a few questions in that part? If you catch my drift,
you can ask me anything.
Have you ever taken any psychedelic substances?
So yes.
Okay.
Let me just tell you, when I was 20, 21, my first time ever experiencing drugs, and I did cocaine. I did it for the whole weekend with my girlfriend, right? And come Monday, I was in the ER. And I was running a high fever. My throat, like, literally had blisters all day on it. And the ER doctor walked in and with his chart after running tests, and he says, "Have you been tooting snow?" And I said, "Excuse me?" He goes, "Snorting coke. Have you been putting white stuff up your nose?" And I'm a good girl. I don't ever break rules, right? I hadn't even really drank. And so I started bawling. Yes, oh my God, I'm going to jail. I swear to God, it was the first time I've ever tried it. I'll never do it again. And he said, "I believe you. You are deathly allergic. You're having an anaphylactic reaction." And so I found after that I had all these drug allergies. So to be really honest, I've always been holistic. I don't do like any kind of drugs whatsoever because of that one moment. And even when I was in the hospital super sick, if you saw my drug allergy list, it is so long that every time they would give me something, I'd have an anaphylactic reaction. So gratefully, I was not a drug user because I would die.
Thank you for sharing that. It's probably not a common question you get asked, but yeah, we're a little bit backwards here. So That's fine. And okay, so that's awesome. What was your and can we go back into that story? I mean, that would have been in a different era for you, like I guess um
It was in the 70s.
in the 70s. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Roommate was doing it. So I said, okay, I'll do it too. I'm, by the way, I was a mom at 17. So I was a mom, still
Wow.
didn't do drugs. I was in school and my daughter was gone for the weekend. And so I thought, what the heck? Everybody else is doing it. And so literally I did it that one night on the weekend and found out that I had an anaphylactic reaction to it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, don't do drugs. This is not a show to promote. This is just we're just talking funny, crazy experiences. But yeah, look, we're all about health and wellness, so maybe we can go back into that pathway. I was also going to touch on intermittent fasting. Have you ever tried intermittent? I mean, I know everyone's different, but I'm not sure if it works for you or if you've ever tried it or.
So maybe I would have done that before, but now it's so important for me to be giving my body the nutrients. So even if I
Yeah.
ate this drink and it was full of protein, my body's absorption rate is going to be far less than everyone else because most people start absorbing their foods in their stomach. And I don't. So I do not do intermittent fasting. And I will say this one thing, there's a lot of fads out there. And intermittent fasting is not a bad thing, by the way. It's actually kind of good. And when you think about it, breakfast means we broke a fast at night. So we've been doing intermittent fasting for a really long time. Again, having said that, fads don't usually have long-term success. And the word diet literally only means what we put in our mouth. We've decided to market it to make some money off of it and create all these new diets that are creating billions of dollars of income. And so I just want you to know, when your mind is ready to make a change in your body, it doesn't matter what you do. Like if you're doing intermittent fasting, you're doing keto, you're doing plant-based, it doesn't matter what you choose to do. When your mind is set up to get your body into shape, get your body healthy, it will happen. So I don't want you to be thinking about intermittent fasting or any of those other diets as something that is a key for you. They're usually not. And rarely do people have long-term success on those. They might have a quick brief pan in, losing 10, 15 pounds, but they usually don't last.
Okay. Cool. Okay, there that don't last. Yeah. I mean, look, just to be honest, I endorse intermittent fasting, but I know that not everybody is on the same wavelength. So,
But
it's a
we've
bit.
been
It's a,
fasting for centuries when you think about
yeah.
it.
With yeah.
People usually ate their last meal at 5 or 6 at night, when the sun started to go down back in, the 1800s, 1700s, and even further back. And then in the morning when they woke up, that was their first meal. So their body had a 12 to 14-hour break in between eating so that it could use that fuel and do the things it needed to do. So I don't think there's anything wrong with intermittent fasting at all. I think it's really good for your body. It's just not something obviously I can do.
It is difficult to sustain, but I definitely believe that maybe once a year or maybe multiple times a year you should be doing just a fast at least 24 hours, 72 hours, or yeah, just a break from food because I think constant digestion. I'm not sure like what the impacts are, but yeah, there's definitely I know there's a lot of research into intermittent fasting, and I know the people that live the longest in the world they don't. They have very light dinners, and they unintentionally fast. Like they're not. Yeah. So I think maybe I'm making some things up again here, but
I think that is a very good point because there are times, like I told you, my stomach doesn't empty. And so there are times that I've overeaten, and that could literally be 4 or 5 bites at breakfast, 3 bites at lunch, and 2 bites at dinner. And then my stomach, because it didn't empty, is so full that it's painful. And what I do when it gets really bad is I stop eating. And I don't eat for anywhere from 24 to 48 hours to let my body reset, try to get rid of whatever's in my stomach, and then slowly introduce foods again. So there's actually a lot to what you're saying.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, we might wrap up the podcast there. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Yana. I know that you've got another meeting coming up soon, so I'll give you time for that. And how can people reach you, or what's the best way to connect with you?
So people can just go to my website. It's janashort.com. But I also have a magazine called Best Holistic Life, and it's free, and it is amazing. We just had Oprah's trainer in there, and we have Mark Anthony writes for us, and he's a psychic lawyer. And so you can go in there and get your free copy at bestholisticlife.com.
Sorry, can I just intercept you there? When you say psychic lawyer, so what the hell is a psychic lawyer? Is it like someone who...
Mark is a psychic lawyer, and he's actually written 2 New York Times bestsellers, and he's about to release his 3rd, and he has already put himself on the cover of our magazine for fall to promote that book. But he's a psychic medium, and he has worked with the FBI to find missing cases, and you'll see him on all kind of television shows. He has a radio show, but he's phenomenal. And so he writes for us regularly, and his stories, like he's told one about Ringo Starr, and he talks about how they're connecting with their dead relatives. But it's pretty amazing.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Well, that's a wrap, guys. And I've got the website there, so janashort.com, and I'm sure all the details are on the website. And thanks, guys, for watching.